Post-election fallout hitting the GOP. Add Bobby Jindal to the list now. Republicans coming out to blame other Republicans for their big loss. But who's really getting it wrong? Grand old party or good old Joe Biden?
A man who will be the next president of the United States, Barack America. God rest her soul. And although she's your mom's still alive as your dad passed. They're going to put you all back in chains. So as the president 70 who's up here with the governor, we're not going anywhere, Gov. We're not going anywhere. And you got a homeboy in the deal who gets it.
The homeboy one was today. The rest of them were just for comedy. Townhall.com's Katie Pavlich says Republicans should stop calling each other out of touch and focus on how the vice president is out of tune. Katie, everybody wants the Republicans, including Republicans that appear to be already throwing their hat into the ring for 2016. They're out there and they're saying, you Republicans need to change.
Right. Well, first of all, let's get a little break from the 2016 talk. I think we're all just getting over the last election. But, yeah, Republicans are doing what generally parties always do when they lose an election. They try to be the one who's right and the leader who's going to move people into the next election, especially if, they have a different party in the office of the White House.
But I mean, it makes sense. After action report of some kind, after you are in an event or any kind of program, you always look and say, what could we have done better? Are they going beyond that?
I think they are going beyond that. I think there's a difference between publicly calling each other out and throwing each other under the bus and actually having behind closed doors meetings about what went wrong with the party and who they really should be putting up for 2016. I think that in the immediate aftermath, it hasn't been that long since the election. I think Republicans need to take a step back, really take in what actually happened, and then talk behind closed doors about what they can do better next time. And as far as Joe Biden's comments, if a Republican had said what he said about the homeboy comment, they would be painted as racist immediately.
Yeah.
But there are bigger fish to fry. I think Republicans, especially in the states, could be helping with the fiscal cliff and some of the attitude there and how that will affect their states, and maybe pressing John Boehner to do the right thing for them, because the states are the ones who really have to bear the burden of what the federal government does.
Well, what do you think went wrong with the election?
So many things. I think that Mitt Romney missed a big opportunity with the youth vote. They should have done a couple of college tours, especially with the business schools, because there's a lot of Republican-type thinking students in business schools across the country, but they're not political. I think that the Romney campaign hasn't made that human contact with voters that Republicans haven't really been that great at in the past 30 years. And I think President Obama just had a better get-out-the-vote effort than the Republicans did. And I think that we've seen that in the days since the election, that their technology failed.
I think you hit the nail on that last point. The Obama campaign had 200,000 people on Get Out the Vote. The Romney campaign had 20,000.
Right.
Just 10%. It makes a difference. They thought Republicans were energized.
Well, they can't be energized unless you're out there talking to them face to face about not only who the candidate is and asking them for their vote, but talking about why this candidate will be better for you. It's one thing for people to vote against Barack Obama, but it's another for them to really be energized and get out to vote for Mitt Romney.
Well, the other problem with all this, Katie, is that if I have a message and I'm trying to sell it to people, they may not buy my message, and I can have the best get out the vote effort possible, and they still won't go out and vote for me if I have the wrong message. But if I do have the right message, I've got to at least have the ground game.
Right.
Otherwise, the message dies.
Yeah, I think that was really a huge part of why the Romney campaign failed. I think that Republicans in general don't understand that it takes that human contact, and there have been some conservative groups who have done a great job. Jen Stefano was just here with Americans for Prosperity. They tried their best to get out the vote, but the Romney campaign really didn't understand that human-to-human contact you have to make for people to want to vote for you.
There's a term I'll bet you know because you're politically plugged in, but I had not heard of this anywhere in the campaign, was this ORCA. And the ORCA was some sort of new super-duper high-tech thing that I would get a note of who voted and who hadn't, so I could run over to the person's house who hadn't voted. The whole thing was a miserable failure. It
Right.
didn't work. Nobody could access it.
Right. They were relying on people to take it upon themselves to try and get their neighbor to vote, when really they needed, just like the Obama campaign, at least 200,000 people, person to person, going door to door and talking about why Mitt Romney was a better choice.
Yeah.
And they failed at doing that.
Katie Pavlich, nice to see you.
Nice to see you, too.
Thanks for coming
so much.
by. You bet.